excited to be here to do
My
this.
name is Laura Foster.
Guitar player extraordinaire slash resident fun guy at Northside Baptist
Trio Quinn. I'm actually Charlie's cousin.
Neil Baker. Eddie.
Baines Blanton. I'm a junior at Lowndes High
Drew
School.
Peterson. I'm a student at Lowndes High School.
Alright, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on today. If you introduce yourself and we'll keep on going.
Yeah, my name's Landon McCaleb. I'm the connections pastor over here at Northside Baptist Church, and yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, and so if you could just go in and explain that role a little bit, because you were the youth pastor from the last time we talked, and then now you're the connections pastor. Explain a little bit, but since you've been here, how has that maybe changed a little bit?
Yeah, it's been a good switch for me and my family. I started this role in April, so it was kind of like halfway through the year. I felt like the Lord was leading me into this. It was really neat just how it came apart, because we've had almost 250 people join the church since last year, and so with that came a need for a connections pastor, and of course, after praying about it and all that good stuff, it was a no-brainer for me. I felt like this was me, and this is where the Lord wants me to be, and it was a really good move for me. So I've loved it. I've been able to work with a lot of families, not just youth. I love my time in student ministry by all means, but I love just being able to work with families as well, and really introducing a lot of people to the church, and not just introducing them to Northside, but really explaining to them the importance of the church and how it is vital for their walk with Christ. Not only that, but also really connecting them to Christ in general. It's just a way I've been able to have a lot more gospel conversations with people, sharing the gospel with people just in conversation. It's just been really good. Yeah. And I really feel like this is where God wants me to be.
And like you said, it's a variety of people. It's not like, say, you get different personalities and different like wavelengths coming at you every single week.
Yeah, every week. Yeah. And a lot of guests too. That's one thing in October in particular, we had 95 guest cards that were filled out.
Wow.
And so which is awesome. You just don't think about that on every Sunday. No. And I think honestly it was probably more like double the guests than just the guest cards. That would be my prediction.
And you got to think too. Not everybody fills one out. So we probably had a lot more guests, like you said, than was filled out. Because I know some people are like, yeah, sure, I'll fill one out, and then other people I'm like, I don't want to fill that out. Like, I just want to sit here, and listen. Sure. So, but I mean, for sure, like I was thinking that it is definitely needed because, like some people come in Northside and they're like, so what do I do? Like, where do I need to go? And so you're that person, which is great, because I'm like, you might be the first face somebody sees. Yeah. And so you got to put on that good first impression.
Hopefully it's a good one,
I hope so. I mean, I know we're always talking about the connections desk over there, and that sign though looks amazing. Yeah. Like, it looks so good, and like you've got the whole setup going on over there.
Yeah, it came together. That was a total God thing, man. Yeah. God put together my team. Jessica Balesta was the one who actually created that sign, so probably big shout out for her. She's incredible. Yeah. With that, but also Brenda Thomas and a few others. We were able to just come together. And it was just really cool how God just orchestrated that. But that was a big first step for me, as a pastor, and also, but like as the new connections pastor, just establish that area where it can just be, with information and all that stuff.
And it was funny because I remember when they moved that desk over there to where for the mission stuff, it looked so weird because everybody like was so used to having that little desk right there where Miss Helen was standing at, and then we put the tables there and I'm like, okay, this is fine now, but it felt, I was like, something needs to go here, stat. Like, it feels empty right here. But I remember when y'all moved that, I'm like, how heavy was that desk? I mean, it seemed like it was heavy.
Very heavy.
I mean, I mean, it sounded like you're about to break your back trying to lift that desk up. I was like, I'm so glad they're not making me lift that up. I did a lot of things, but that was not the one thing I was happy I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, thankfully Will McKee was there. So he can just lift things with one finger, So.
Yeah, the big stud, as I like to call him, So, were you nervous about jumping into that role? Like, because you'd been, like, when you started, you were the youth pastor, right? So, then you were like, oh my gosh, it's new territory, and nobody's touched it. Like, this wasn't there was no foundation built.
Right.
You're just here trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little nerves, but I was excited too. I think I was, I jump into things and I'm in, man. Yeah. And that's kind of, I just knew that God was calling me in this direction, and so with that, I was just like, I'm just going to go for it, and so with that, I was like, man, I just being obedient to the Lord is the best thing I can do. And especially it's just in general, in life, and so, but yeah, so it was a good move. I mean, I'm still figuring it out. Like you said, I mean, there's never been a connections pastor at Northside Baptist Church. It's a fairly new position across the church world in general. Yeah,
because I mean, even when they said connections pastor, I was like, right. What's that? I kind of had an idea just based off the name, but that's not a pastor you hear much about. Like, if a church has one, you don't hear much about it at all.
Right. And so it's one of those things like like you bring in a lot of people, but you're also wanting to close the back door as well. In other words, you're trying to keep people. You want to recruit people. Speak well, obviously, of Northside and represent them and what we're trying to do, as a staff, so there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, but I mean, what's been the hardest thing that you've had to figure out with, all this, like?
Yeah, I think just finding out how to go about the whole thing. So
yeah, you kind of had to get in the rhythm of how to do it.
So I'm still figuring out some systems, within that. So there's different things that I've been trying out that I feel like I've been working. Like, for example, like Planning Center, is a tool that I've really had to learn but implement in my ministry. Yeah. So, but it's created. I have a whole database. Like, so all the members of Northside, go into that database, and I'm working with that. But that helps me stay organized on the admin side of things. The admin side of things, what I do, I spend a lot of time with that, but not a lot of people see that.
Right. And there's a lot of things that happens on our side that people don't see.
Exactly.
And we've talked about that.
Yeah.
I even said that in the one year. I was like, there's so much that goes on in the background that you don't realize that maybe somebody cleaned this hallway today, but somebody did it. But you expect it to be clean, right? When you come in on Sunday, but somebody did that. Right. And so that's one thing I've always tried to tell people. I'm like, somebody did it, right? And just be thankful that they did do it, because it that place could be dirty or somebody didn't put that out for you to look at, whatever. Yes. But it's done.
A lot of people are at work here, and it's a good place.
And that's one thing for sure. When I volunteered for the summer, I was like, my gosh, the people that work here, because again. There's so many people in the offices back here, that, if you didn't know they worked here, you wouldn't know.
Right.
Right. And it just amazes me how much they put into Northside every week. I'm like, my gosh. Yeah. And the hours you guys put in.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But what are some positive and negatives about the job, you think?
I mean, I'd say positives are I love to interact with a lot of people, and I've been able to have that interaction that I've wanted. I even want to increase that going into 2024. That was one thing. As going forward, as the position itself kind of expanded with my budget as well. Just thinking of outside the box, like connecting with people. During the week, whether that's just getting coffee with people, getting meals with people. Yeah. It means a lot of people, that somebody's reaching out to them, not only reaching out to them, but really wanting to meet with them, get to know. I mean, I just simply want to get to know people, man, and get to know them and love them.
Shoot, you're going to need a team eventually, hey, you go to this person, you go to that person, and then we'll go to lunch, split, you know?
And there's going to be a lot of work to be done, man. Yeah. Because God is bringing us people here at Northside, and for us to be good stewards, is we've got to be meeting these people, man, and sharing the gospel with people. And not only that, but just building relationships with people, man.
And I'm just saying, if you ever have a team build or whatever for that, I'll tell you one person that's good about that. Because Noah Jenkins is good about that.
Okay, great.
He's always wanting to go to lunch with people. Like he just went with me and my mom recently to to kind of talk with us more. And I'm like, that man needs to be on I don't know, some recruitment or something, to get people in the Northside or something. Because he's always good about talking with people.
Yeah.
But when it comes to with preaching, right, you don't get to do as much. Do you miss that at all?
I do some. I think I knew that coming in, with not doing that week to week, moving of people was something I was going to, in a sense, give up. And what I mean by that is the youth every week, Wednesday night.
And, coming up with a message every Wednesday.
Preparing a message, every week. Now I have been teaching our life group, so Young Families Life Group. I've been teaching that quite a bit, off and on. Josh and I have been kind of alternating on that, and so that's been good. Yeah, I want to keep teaching and preaching as much as I can, because I really feel like that's what God has equipped me to do. Yeah. And so I don't want to lose that.
Right. And so you don't want to get rusty with it and be like,
and not lose it, but just get rusty and get out of practice.
It's like, how do I do this again? Yeah. I know I know that Josh had to jump in for was it maybe the week of Thanksgiving? I think for Miles' life group, and and it was funny. That was the week nobody in my life group, they were all sick or out of town, and I was the only one there and showed up, and so I had to go into Miles's, and I was like, hey, I'm here. That was so funny because my mom was because I couldn't text her because I didn't want to interrupt, and she was just her eyes just got. She was like, why are you here? But and I thought that maybe one more person was going to show up.
Yeah. Not the case.
I was like, we have it on the daily, maybe 20, maybe 12, 13, 14 kids.
Right.
And none of you were here. How does that happen? I think mostly with sickness.
Yeah.
Because I know it's been going around, but I was shocked by that, and I was like, yeah, they're not. I looked around, I'm like, yeah, they're not showing up. They would have showed up by now. And it was funny because I saw some of them in the early service, but I guess they might have just went home because maybe thought because. Miss Natasha put a Facebook message out and said, "Hey, we're not gonna be there." I guess they might have thought it was canceled or something. I'm like, "No, it's not. I'm still here." And we thought that was but when the next week when the Divines are back, I said, "Welcome back, you two." Because I was there, and Noah had, just in case if somebody did come in, had the Hubbard's come in, and I was talking to them. And we just kept looking around. We were like, "No, it ain't happening." Yeah. But you just did a 5K here recently.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the world because that don't just pop up, does it? How did that happen?
Well, it was actually a marathon.
And
so that was something I've been training for. I've always wanted to do. It's been a goal for a while. Mm-hmm. I've been running a lot. That's definitely the last few years. I just feel like I've been getting into it, and so that was it was awesome.
Yeah. But, and how did you do? I don't know. I don't know if you finished it, but
I finished. that was the goal, man.
I finished.
I finished, man. But it took me about 4.5 hours.
And where was it? Where did you run from?
That was in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh! So you, oh my! Well, it was probably cooler up there when you did that. Well, I hope it was.
Yes, it was a little bit cool.
I mean, it's cool down here now.
To be honest with you, man, it was pretty hot then.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so it was hotter than I was hoping it would.
Yeah, I mean, did you get to because for me, every time I go up there, I know, for people that live up there, it's just oh, it's whatever. But I mean, for me, it's ooh, mountains. I'm just ooh. Yeah. There's these big old, these big old mountains. But I remember we took a trip up there. It was a couple years ago now. Yeah. We were going into Pigeon Forge, and we took I-40. Oh my gosh, never go on that interstate. Because we went on there, and we were so scared because there's semis on and there's mountains on either side of you. Yeah. And then
you talking about was it in the North Carolina, Tennessee area?
Might have been. Yeah.
Must have been if you were going through the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, you got all these semis coming by, and then I think there might have been a wreck on the. Oh my gosh! And so it slowed everything down. And we about missed our reservation for our hotel. But I was like, we somehow made, like, and then, like, we didn't come in, like, you know, if there's, like, big old pretty sign that says we're going to Pigeon Forge. No, we came in, like, the back way. Like, where there's a dirt road and all, like, right outside. And I'm like, this vacation, I don't know what's going on. But we've been up there, you know, I want to go back up there again. Because it was just, like, anytime we go somewhere like that and I don't see, like, maybe, like, you know, big old buildings or mountains or whatever, that just makes my brain explode. Because, you know, we don't see it at all. Or, like, when it gets a little bit hilly or whatever. You know, it's really, really cool. But I know it's a shorter episode, but I'm glad to have you back on and kind of give people an update about what you're up to. Because, you know, things are moving up here at Northside all the time. And I was like, I knew as soon as you got the new job, I was like, I hope I got to have him back on again. And I've said that to some people already, like it might have been... you know, Elijah, when, you know, because he joined after I interviewed him, but like it was like maybe a couple weeks after, and I'm like, man, you should have told me that. I would have rescheduled you, but now I got to have him back on again, and give people updates and stuff. And but I just thank you for coming back on again. You know, I know that, you know, taking time out to just come and talk to me. I mean, my gosh, is, you know, that
you're a great guy, Charlie, man. Don't let anybody else tell you that.
Well, thank you, But seriously, I thank you for your time, and also thank you for coming to the 1 year. I saw you in there, so and that was so much fun. I was like, my gosh, there's so many people in here.
Man, you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you so much. With another episode of the Young Minds Podcast coming to a close, I just want to remind you that you are never alone and faith is action. So let's get out there.